Top of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. The big news at the start of last weekend is that former Vice President to Bush number 43, Dick Cheney, is, just like his daughter Liz Cheney, voting for Kamala Harris. I always liked George W. Bush, although I never voted for him. I never liked Dick Cheney. I believed Bush might have been a better president if Cheney were less of the unlikable hawk many considered him to be. Dick Cheney's decision to vote for Harris doesn't make me automatically start liking him, just as liking George Bush never made me agree with or vote for him. That was too many Americans' problem with Hillary Clinton. Because they didn't like her, they dismissed her, led themselves into temptation, and delivered themselves into evil by voting for the other candidate. For the record, I never found Hillary unlikable. And for the record, although I liked Bush, I detested Chief Justice William Rehnquist and his judicial cronies who gave us President Bush by Supreme Court rather than by Supreme Count back in the year 2000. Although that's water under the bridge, that water remains decidedly filthy. As well, I never found Mitt Romney particularly likable. I didn't vote for him, not on that basis, but I would have been comfortable with a Romney presidency had Obama lost to him. Even before that, I was on the fence when John McCain, an American hero and a good man whom only an evil man or a jealous fool would disparage, came up against Obama. McCain might have got my vote. That is until he chose his running mate. Sarah Palin was many negatives that made her a most unsuitable choice, but unlikable was not one of them. Intelligent and responsible people shouldn't vote based on liking a candidate or not. The discerning, principled, and conscientious people I know do not hang their lives around a particular political party for life, no matter how much they like them. I cannot understand what makes Christian people who have been told, be sober, be vigilant, for the devil prowls around the face of the earth seeking whom he may devour, and who are told, test the spirits, and who are told time and again, embrace wisdom, do not depart from her ways. I cannot understand what makes such persons hitch their wagon eternally to not just a man like you-know-who, but also to a party that he, with the help of those self-same undiscerning, unwise, and unprincipled Christians, has gutted of its intellectual, moral, and constitutional compass. Discerning Republicans say that their party, or former party, is totally bankrupt. And the proof is that Dick Cheney, Liz Cheney, Adam Kinzinger, Arizona Mayor John Giles, and scores of other prominent and not so prominent Republicans are voting for Harris. There are even evangelicals for Harris. In Trinidad and Tobago, I had been partial to one political party for the first 2 times I could vote. That changed in 1986. When I thought that party had become so corrupt, arrogant, and obnoxious that they did not deserve my vote. That party lost in a massive landslide, as they well deserved. In Jamaica, the party not of my choice won the 1980 elections with the interfering help of America. I and not a few Jamaicans found the Prime Minister arrogant and objectionable on many fronts. Although he and his party's platform generally did not align with my liking or all of my values, he and his party just might have got my vote, had I had one, in the subsequent election when I judged that their government was indeed making the Jamaican economy better. That, despite my hot condemnation of his collusion with America and some other Caribbean leaders to invite Ronald Reagan's government to invade Grenada, which Either Michael Manley, Jamaica's then opposition leader, or George Chambers, then Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, called, quote, a squalid act, unquote. That is invading Grenada. Now, here in America, never in a million years would I or many other Americans have expected to hear an icon of the Republican Party say he is voting for a Democrat. But then, is it really that strange? Haven't Republicans celebrated for 40 years what they proudly call Reagan Democrats? Adam Kinzinger said it well, that a Republican who votes for Harris doesn't somehow become a Democrat, and I shall add, doesn't somehow become a rhino, Republican in name only. No, that person with the alternative in mind is a patriot. So what am I recommending to you? Vote for a party or for a candidate who does justice to all, loves mercy toward the least, and remains humble socially and spiritually. Do not vote for a candidate or a party just because you like them. In all of my 16 years of post-secondary educational pursuits, I've studied too much. One of the most enduring lessons learned therein is one that I had seen in action in real life since I was a kid. I've seen it in real life everywhere, in school, in government, in society, in the police department, even in church. And the lesson is this, that people like bad leaders, especially religious people. Let that sink in. That is a proven, researchable fact. People like bad leaders. I'm not at all surprised then that 81% of white evangelical church folk here in America still like Donald Trump. I've had an ongoing debate on somebody else's Facebook wall with a man who repeatedly insists that Kamala Harris is a moron. Finally, when he said, quote, I'm voting for Trump, Trump is a jerk, but Harris is a moron, unquote, I wrote back to him that I'm not into the name-calling business. After I offered him many exhibits of Harris's immense intelligence, I said to him these words, Trump is not a jerk, he's a criminal. Trump is not a jerk, he's a sex offender. Trump is not a jerk, he's a fraudster. Trump is not a jerk, he's a thief. Trump is not a jerk, he's a liar. Trump is not a jerk, he's an insurrectionist. Trump is not a jerk, he's a racist. Trump is not a jerk, he's an uninquisitive, unlearning, shallow know-it-all who will not make America great, greater, or good. He is literally good for nothing. Those are all hard, cold, extant, empirical, proven, demonstrable, and incontrovertible facts. And only a fool, a dishonest, or a severely deluded person would deny it. Finally, after this man repeated again to me that Harris is a moron, I asked that white male, a clergy person you might not be shocked to know, why don't you simply go the whole way and say that all women are unintelligent morons, especially black women? Tomorrow night, during a certain presidential debate, people like that man who like that other man will discover who the moron really is. If they still have doubts thereafter, they could ask Rex Tillerson. He will tell them who the moron is, complete with his famous adjective. Please like and then share this video with many people. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. Stay awake, stay wise, stay woke. I'll see you again soon. Happy Monday, all the way to Friday.